We're going to go ahead and start getting the holes drilled in here, and I got my Noga cool set up. We're going to use that to lubricate everything and try to keep the temps down. I'll start with a 1/2 inch drill to get a pilot through there. Next up, we're going to use an 1¼ inch taper shank drill. So our final drill, this is a 2 3/16 drill bit, and that's gonna put me a little bit under what I want the minor diameter bore to in these parts. I'll explain that later. You know, the math that we did, just the basic math of calculating what our minor diameter is going to be. This will give us approximately 100 thousandths to bore out of this thing right here. This is kind of the limit of what the Victor likes to use, so hopefully it's not going to let me down here. And that's an old grind, so let's see how it does. Looking to see if it's got equal cuts on both sides. That RPM is at 65. Okay, everything's sounding about normal. You get sort of like a vibration with it when you use those bigger drills. Kind of bouncing around inside there. You can see the chatter there. Part of that has to do with the grind. Not too bad at all. Only about 7 or 8 thousandths oversized. Here's another thing I like about that cool mist. I just got through drilling it, and you know, it makes your part pretty hot. So you can leave that thing running, and it doesn't take very long. Just a matter of probably 2-3 minutes max. This part will be, you know, cooled way down. So we're going to let it cool down, and then we're going to go ahead and bore it to size. So the bore size that I want, my target bore size, is going to be 2.307 inches. I'm just going to get a measurement of what our drill cut to. Looks like 2 inches 192. Right. A little over 100 thousandths to come out of there. We'll use a little bit of our cool mist there. If you can get it positioned right when you're boring, that thing really helps to blow them chips out and not get stuck between the boring bar and the part of your the wall. Can't really get it up in there past that. Okay, good finishing there. We're using that PP insert there, the positive chip breaker, made for more like finishing passes. All right, you remember what I was talking about when we turned the OD, that, you know, we split the cut to try to land on our finished size within a thou. Let's try to do that here. So I'm getting 245. I'm going to double check that. I meant to say 244. I was looking at the 45. So, all right, 244. That's going to be 6 thousandths plus 50. So that's 13, 60, 63 thousandths that we got to come out of there. All right, so half of that is going to be what did I just say, 63? So it'd be 31 and a half, really. Let's go ahead and split it. I'm just going to take 30 thousandths. It's a lot easier to keep up with the big graduations, the long graduations on the dial, should I say. It's going to be a 30 thousandths pass. So that should give us about 33 thousandths to come out of there for our final pass. Okay, let's see what we finished out with. All right, 73. That's about 73 and a half. I lost about a half thou there on the movement. Go one more time there, double check it. And it's right there at it. Approximately half a thou is what I lost moving the cross slide there. I'm just going to call it 74, 274. Okay, so that's 30, that's going to be 33 thousandths. All right, let's do it. 10, 20, 30, 1, 2, 3. Try to go just past the line, see if it'll help make up for that half a thou. All right, we'll make that pass and then we'll snap another measurement there and see where we hit our size. So I'm going to back out on this one. I'm not going to let it drag. I usually try to preserve that nice bore on your finished cut there and not leave any drag marks from the bar. All right, so we're looking for 307 to see what we did. I'm there. Probably more like 306 and a half. Now it's probably hard to see there, but right there. So just a good little tip, you know, to try to remember when you're making your finished cuts. Just always try to split them and make the cuts the same depth every time. I decided I'm going to go ahead and get this thing finished out. So we're going to chamfer it, and then I'm going to grind up a tool bit to cut the threads, and we're going to get them done as we get them turned board, and we'll just turn it board and thread it every one. That way I don't have to chuck it back up again and indicate it every time. Just got 4 of them to do, so that's what we're going to do. This is a bar I've always had set up for a while here that's got a chamfering tool. So we're going to use it and get both sides chamfered. All right, and then what I like to do on the back side is turn the machine off, make sure your tool's clearing, and come through, and I look down. I'm looking down and I bring the tool without turning the chuck on yet, and I just make sure that the point of the tool is clearing the edge back there. And then I back away, make sure it's clear, turn it on, then all I got to do is feed it back. And I'll just stop it and I'll look at it. And I can make some adjustments there. Okay, that's going to work pretty good. This is the tool bit that I found that I'm going to regrind into the thread tool. Now, this particular tool bit I ground for the well drilling shaft when I was doing the square threads, only this isn't the one that I ground for that job that I showed on the channel there. This was the first one that I ground a long time ago at my old shop. So I reground it for the video. So I'm saving that one, it's in the drawer, so I'm going to repurpose this one right here. This is a piece of 3/8 cobalt, and what I want is the tool bit to be, I'm going to make the tool bit 65 thousandths wide. So what we're cutting is an 8 pitch, it's 8 threads per inch, so the thread width is like 62.5 thou. So I'm going to make this 65, and that should give clearance for the thread to screw through the bore there. I think we're about 160 right now, 165 or so. All right, we got the coarse wheel on that side, the fine wheel on this side. So I'll try to get it roughed down on that side, and then we'll do our finishing there. And when you're grinding these kind of tool bits for like your bore, you have to take in consideration clearance. You got to have clearance underneath your cutting edge. That's why it's kind of radius like that. That's a little bit extreme, but you got to have clearance, and you got to have side clearance underneath this edge as well. Now, despite what some of these comments might say coming through as I do this, you're not going to hurt the hardness of this tool bit by dunking it to cool it off. This high-speed steel has a red hardness to it. You won't damage it. It's not going to soften it up. About 150. Once it starts getting too hot to handle, that's when I pull it off and cool it in the water. I like using that bucket there just because there's more water. It doesn't get hot near as fast if you're doing a bunch of grinding. It's got the cup down there, but I just like using that bucket. So it's getting hot, pull off. It's going to be a pretty narrow tool bit. See, we're already, that's 113. It's starting to get pretty small, so there's not going to be much there. I'm going to grind some of that length off there too, because we're only going, the thread depth's only 30 thousandths, so you don't need all that length sticking out. I'm starting to get pretty close. I want to go ahead and put some back rake in it as well. It helps twirl that tip, make a little bit better cut there. Shorten it up a little first. a little hook to it. Now, let me get my square. You want to make sure that the tip of the cutting edge is square to the shank of the tool, because our bar is going to be nice and square. So I just use one of these little machinist squares like that, just kind of like you would a fishtail almost, and just lay the tool in there and look at it to see if it's square. Now I'm going to be pointing it up here in the light, and I've got it pretty well square just like that. I've got that clip light behind you here. All it takes is a touch, and then just check it like that in the light to see if your cutting edge is square with the side of the tool. Almost perfect right there. I'm going to go ahead and touch it up here on the sides and get it to the width. Got a little ways to go. .65 and a half. Boy, that ain't much, is it? .65 thou. Okay. Now that's going to be pretty good. All I want to do, I'm going to use my hone, and I'm going to break those corners and have just a little bit of radius on the corner of the tool, but otherwise that should be ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit more relief down here at the bottom. That should work right there. That should clear your thread and get the job done. When I'm doing square threads, I usually set the compound at 0 degrees or have it in parallel to the axis of the spindle there, parallel to the ways. And I do that so that if for whatever reason I need to kind of widen out the thread, I can do so with the compound. So this is when I'll be doing direct infeed, you know, with the cross slide right here. So we got this set on 0, and what I'm doing is I'm squaring up my tool, and I've already got it square. I just keep running that back and forth and just bumping this around the tool post until I get it square, and we're there. All right, we're gonna get this tool touched off. I'm going to set a compound, I'm not a compound, I'm going to set an indicator over here as well. Got the tool locked in, we got everything snugged up. We're just going to come in here and touch it. Alright, there's our touch. Now zero this, and I want to put an indicator over here. Put a little mag back indicator right over here, and this is going to help duplicate our 0 point. Alright, so we got 2 zeros to work off of over here. Let's go ahead and get it in our thread pitch, which is going to be 8, BD1. Alright, BD1. Let's go ahead and we'll make a scratch through there and see what it looks like. Also making sure that everything's clear. Zero, zero. Okay. I got a thread pitch gauge and I'm just going to verify it. And we look good to go. 8 pitch. Alright, so the thread depth is 30 thousandths per side. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and speed that up. We're going to run 100 RPM. Go ahead and dial in 10. So we don't really have very far to go. I'm going to use cutting oil for this. So 10 is going to be our first cut. You can engage the half nut anywhere you want. Alright, we're going to go 10, 20. It's 30. Alright, so that was a 30 thou cut, 15 on the indicator. I just want to take a look at it. It's looking real good. Just double checking my math here. 30 thou per side, 60 thousandths total. So 30 thou per side. Okay. So it's 20. We're going to go 25 and we're going to test it. All right, 25. And what I'm going to do is bring it back. I'm going to bring this back to 25. I know that's where we were. I don't think it's quite there yet. It's still a little tight. It's trying to right there, but I need to take some more. I may have to widen the thread out a little bit. Seems like it's a little bit snug on it. All right, we just bumped the compound in 2.5. I'm gonna make another pass there. Back to our 30. Take another 2 thousandths on the width there. That's exactly why I keep the compound square on a square cut there, so that you can widen out your threads. The problem that I know that I'm having is that the profile, the thread profile on this part that I'm trying to fit it to, that's not a perfectly square thread. It's rounded off, and it's rounded in the corners down there too. I put a little bit of radius, you know, on the corner of that tool bit to try to compensate that with the hone. Once I get this first one done, I'll know about what I got to do on the other three. It's trying to. I'm just going to keep making some more fine passes through here and try to get this thing skinned out. I made 2 more passes after I turned the camera off there, and you see I got it perfect. Very little wiggle in there, so it's a machinist fit. But it's fitting good now. So we went actually on our depth we went. So I went 32 thousandths per side on our depth. So that should give us about 64 thousandths on the diameter that it cut out. And then I moved the tool in a total of 10 thousandths on the compound dial right there. And it's looking real good. It looks great. I think that's going to work right there. I'm trying to decide if I should just go ahead and take another spring pass through there to loosen it up a little bit. I don't want to mess with it because it's good right there. Got just a slight amount of wiggle right there. I think I am going to do a spring pass because what I'm worried about with these things, I didn't ask the guy. These could be welded somewhere, welded in place. And if they get welded, they could draw a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back out. We're gonna go right back to our 32. And I'm gonna bring this compound, I'm gonna back it up and bring it back to 0. And we're gonna maybe scrape the back edge there of the thread just ever so slightly. There's actually some burrs in there. I'm gonna have to get in there with a flapper. Yep. But you can see we got a little bit more rock there, so I feel better about that now. All right, well, I'm just going to set up a little flapper on an air grinder and go in there and just hit that to remove those burrs on the edge of the thread. And then this one's going to be done. So got to do it 3 more times just like this. I'm not going to bore you and take you through all of it. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the other 3 and try to get those knocked out, and we'll come back and start on the rest of it. I managed to get 3 of them completed in time to get this video edited for SNS. We still got one more here that we got to finish out. Hopefully this weekend I'm going to get this one knocked out and get it done. But they're working out pretty good. So here's the one that I just finished. Pretty interesting little job, and kind of fun to. This is the second job that I've got to share some square threading with you guys. Always fun to do some new stuff around here on the channel. So these threaded sleeves here, all 4 of these are going to be parted off. I've got 2 of them at a certain length and then 2 more at another length, and there's a couple of little minor things that's got to be done to complete this entire job, but we're going to get to that for another episode and get this all completed out. So I took a couple pictures that I'll share, maybe a little bit more detail in the photos. So anyway, that's going to be a wrap this week. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you next week.